The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Colne to Skipton back road was a corpse roads. Winding back road shrouded in mystery and folklore. This was no ordinary road, it was a corpse road, a pathway travelled by the deceased on their final journey to their resting place. For centuries, the locals had relied on this ancient route to transport the departed from remote communities to the consecrated grounds of cemeteries. Known by various names like the Bier Road, Funeral Road, or Lych Way, it held a spectral allure, steeped in tales of ghosts, spirits, and wraiths. On a moonlit night, when the mist danced along the hedgerows and the wind whispered secrets through the trees, a lone traveller ventured along this eerie path. Mary, a young woman from a nearby hamlet, carried a lantern in one hand and a heavy heart in the other as she made her way towards Skipton. The burden of grief weighed heavily upon Mary's shoulders. Her beloved grandmother, Agatha, had passed away just days ago, and it fell upon her to accompany the old woman's body to its final resting place. Despite the solemnity of her task, Mary couldn't shake the feeling of unease that crept over her with each step. As she walked, Mary's thoughts turned to the stories she had heard about the corpse road. Tales of restless spirits wandering the night, of ghostly processions and shadowy figures lurking in the darkness. She quickened her pace, eager to reach the safety of Skipton's welcoming lights. But the journey was far from uneventful. Along the way, Mary thought she heard the faint sound of footsteps echoing behind her, though when she turned, there was no one to be seen. The shadows seemed to flicker and dance, taking on shapes that made her blood run cold. Determined to press on, Mary pushed through her fear, clutching her lantern tightly as if it were a talisman against the unknown. She whispered prayers under her breath, seeking solace in the familiar words. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the dim outline of Skipton's church spire came into view. Relief flooded through Mary as she hurried towards the sanctuary of the town's graveyard. But as she stepped through the gates, a chill wind swept through the cemetery, extinguishing her lantern and plunging her into darkness. Heart pounding, Mary froze in place, her senses straining against the oppressive silence. Then, from the shadows emerged a figure, its form draped in tattered shrouds, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. Mary's breath caught in her throat as she stared into the face of death itself. But instead of malice, she saw only sadness in those ghostly eyes. A longing for peace, for release from the eternal wandering of the corpse road. And in that moment, Mary understood. With trembling hands, she reached out to the apparition, offering a silent gesture of compassion. And as she did, the figure seemed to shimmer and fade, dissolving into the night like a wisp of smoke on the wind. In the quiet of the graveyard, Mary stood alone, the weight of her grief lighter somehow, as if she had glimpsed a truth beyond the veil of mortality. And as the first light of dawn touched the horizon, she knew that though the corpse road may be haunted by the echoes of the past, it was also a path illuminated by the enduring light of human kindness. By Donald J.